Okay, so this video is going to be our topic 6. It is over multi-step equations. So we're going to be using what we learned for distributive property and multiple steps in the distributive property and combining like terms. And we're also going to be using like what we learned in the two-step equations where we're going to be using inverse operations. So the objective of this video is going to be solving for the variable, and then we'll also have to still check our answer at the end. So looking at this first example, I have some distributive in here, and then I have a plus 4 outside of the parentheses, and then I have it equal to a negative 30. So the first thing we're going to want to do here is we're going to want to distribute the negative 2 through the parentheses. So we're going to do negative 2 times 3x and negative 2 times positive 5. And what that gets us, negative 2 times 3x is a negative 6x. Negative 2 times a positive 5 is a negative 10. Now, we do not want to multiply it times that plus 4, as that plus 4 is outside the parentheses. So that's just going to come straight down. So I'm going to still have a plus 4 here. And this is going to be equal to a negative 30 still. Now, this is where we were at. We see we can combine like terms on the same side. So we're not going to use inverse operations yet because we can see on the left-hand side of this equation, so right here we have a negative 10 and a positive 4. So negative 10 plus 4 would get us a negative 6. So we're going to combine those. We're going to get negative 6x. And then these two right here are going to combine to a minus 6 equals a negative 30. Now, we're in the two-step equation part. We're right where we were the other day. So we're going to combine. So now we're going to use our inverse operations. So we're going to plus 6 because we need to get rid of our constant first on both sides. And then that gets us, on the left-hand side, we're going to be left with a negative 6x. On the right-hand side, we're going to be left with a negative 24. Now, to get rid of that negative 6 on the left-hand side that's attached to the x, because they're attached together, which means it's multiplication, we need to divide by it. So we're going to divide each side by a negative 6 to both sides. So that leaves us, our answer is going to have our x positive, which is just how we want it, and it's going to be equal to 4. So x is equal to 4. Now, we need to check our answer. This is something that you can do, and this is something you will be required to do. I'm not going to do it on here for time's sake. Okay? So going to the next problem, what I want you to do is I want you to pause the video. I want you to try example 2 now by yourself. So my hint is use the distributive property, then combine like terms, then do your inverse operations. So please pause the video and continue once you get to an answer or you get stuck or you need help. All right, so picking up here now. I said we need to use distributive property first. We've got to get rid of this parentheses first, using our order of operations. So it's a plus 2. So we're going to multiply through a plus 2 to everything in the parentheses. And it's only the stuff in the parentheses. So that 7y out in front is going to come straight down. So we're going to have 7y. Now, the plus 2 times the negative 4y is a negative 8y. So we're going to have a minus 8y. And then we're going to have a positive 2 times a positive 6. 2 times 6 is 12, and they're both positives, which makes it a plus 12. And that's going to equal 13. So that we haven't done anything on that right-hand side yet. Now, we see that we need to combine like terms here because they're on the same side. Let's make the problem easier. Let's combine like terms. So I'm going to highlight these in green here. We're going to combine the 7y and the negative 8y together. 7y minus 8y is a negative 1y or a negative y. So that's what's left there. And then we're going to have the plus 12. And then it's going to be equal to 13. Now we're in our two-step equation part. So we're going to do like we did at the two-step equations. Now we can use our inverse operations. So I'm going to get rid of that plus 12 first by minusing 12, doing the opposite there. And I have to do it to both sides, so I'm going to do it to the right-hand side as well. So I'm going to minus 12. That leaves me with, on the left-hand side, a negative y, and it's going to be equal to a positive 1. Now, we always want our variable to be positive. So think about, again, what is the number in front of the y? Well, in this case, it is a 1. It won't be it'll be a 1, but it'll also be a negative. So I'm going to fill the 1 in here. It's a negative 1y. So we need to get rid of that negative 1. It's multiplying it times the y, so we got to do the opposite of multiplication, which is division. So I'm going to divide by negative 1 on both sides, and that gets me my y to be positive. So y is going to equal a negative 1. 1 divided by negative 1 is negative 1. Now, you could also think of the opposite like you did for distributive. That works as well. Now, don't forget, at the end, you must check your answer. Okay, so please make sure you're doing that. I'm not going to do it on this video. So going to example number 3. We've got a little bit different stuff here. We still have our distribution. We still might combine like terms, but we got to get rid of the parentheses first. Okay, so first we need to get rid of these parentheses. Oh, there is a negative in front of the parentheses with no number. That means we need to do the opposite, or a -1 times everything. I'm going to use the opposite, but you should get the same answer if you multiply a -1 through. So we need the -8 stays the same. The 9 does not change. We don't do anything with the 9 right now. But the -1 times a 3y, or the opposite of a positive 3y, is a -3y. -1 times a -2 is a positive 2, or the opposite of a -2 is a positive 2. So that's what that negative does out in front. You got to remember that back from the distribution part. So you're at that. So now we're there. Now we can combine like terms on that right-hand side. Nothing changes because it's on the right-hand side instead of the left-hand side. We're still doing everything the same. A +9 and a +2 gets you a 11. I'm going to underline those that go together. Those two went together this time. The -3y will stay the same. And then the equals -8. We didn't do anything to the left-hand side still. Now we're in our two-step equation part, so now we can move our 11 first because we got to get rid of everything that's not attached to the variable. So I'm going to get rid of the 11. Since it's a +11, I'm going to -11. I'm going to do that to both sides. And so -8 minus 11 is a -19. It's a -19. So then we're going to get it equals a -3y. And then we got to get rid of the -3. So we're going to divide by a -3 on both sides. And we're going to get y equals -19 divided by -3. That's going to be a decimal in this one, but it's going to be a positive. You could leave it as 19 over 3, or it is also going to be 6.3 repeating. Okay. You should check that. You won't see fractions on your test. I don't think we're going to do any fractions, but this one just happened to pop up on here. Okay, so here's example number 4. I want you to try this problem. This is what we'll pick up at the beginning of class, so please come to class to answer or work until you get stuck.